exactly where he lives, I'm making it up. She lived on 135th Street and lived there her entire life. She saw many things happen in her neighborhood. It formed who she was. And then on, I can't remember exactly, August 20th, 2012, she decided to come to Democracy Prep. No, 2011, she decided to come to Democracy Prep as a 6th grader and is currently a 7th grader here. That's a biography. Right, someone else telling about someone else's life in a very matter of fact. Here's what happened, here's what happened next, etc., etc., etc. Method. Okay. Last but not least, autobiographies. Even you read it first, please.
The text is written from the author's perspective through the first person.
Can you read your voice, please, sir?
It describes major influences on the writer. Despite interaction between the writer has significant people within his or her life. Reveals the writer's feelings, reactions, values, and
right. Autobiographies are very personal, whereas biographies can sometimes be very matter of fact. If you're writing an autobiography, you're writing about yourself. And most people tend to be a little self-centered and tend to want to delve into the deep reaches of their soul and what makes them who they are, and make sure that the public understands who they are. Questions? Let's go ahead and flip. 3, 2, and 1. Mariam, tell me one thing about a biography. Voice. No, biography.
Oh, someone
Thank you. When someone writes about your life. Please tell me one thing about an autobiography.
somebody writes about their life.
Thank you. Armani, tell me about a memoir. One thing about a memoir.
It's a memory.
It's a memory. What is the difference between memoirs and autobiographies? Track and maybe, please.
In a memoir, the focus is on like one specific memory, and then on autobiography, it's just about like how that person feels.
Excellent. Can I have someone time me, please? Five minutes. So, super excited. Today we're starting The Outsiders. I may not be showing my intro and what's happening, but you know guys are very excited. And the excerpt that I'm going to model for you today in terms of identifying traits and whether or not the text falls into the category of biography, autobiography, memoir, is similar in theme to many of the things we're going to encounter in The Outsiders, which is why we have an excerpt. My annotation focus, you can start. Box all details that support your inference about the genre of the text. This is from Boy by Roald Dahl. The Great and Daring Mouse Plot. I kept to the rear of the group, and when I saw Mrs. Cratchit turn her head away for a couple of seconds to fish a sherbet sucker out of the box. If you don't know, Roald Dahl is actually British, so sherbet sucker refers to a lollipop. A sucker refers to a lollipop. Out of the box, I lifted the heavy glass lid of the gobstopper jar and dropped the mouse in. Then I replaced the lid as silently as possible. My heart was thumping like mad and my hands had gone all sweaty. So pausing for a quick second. What's happening in this paragraph? Well, he's clearly replacing a mouse with a lollipop and vice versa. Right? And one of the things I want to note about the way he's describing, he's very deliberate in saying that my heart was thumping like mad and my hands had gone all sweaty. So this to me automatically tells me that it can be a biography, right? Because the person is using first person language, like I replaced, and then my hands. So I'm boxing boxing that. Right? But I don't know then if it could be an autobiography or a memoir, because the two of them are so close. Autobiography tends to focus on the person's entire life. Memoir only focuses on a memory. Perhaps this might be a memoir more so than an autobiography because it's such a short snippet. And one bootlace piece, I heard the Thwaites saying, when I turned around, I saw Mrs. Pratchett holding out the bootlace of her filthy fingers. I don't want all the lot of you trooping in there. If only one of you is buying, she screamed at us. Now beat it. Get on. Get out. So clearly, Mrs. Pratchett is the owner of the store. Quick confirmation. Check. And Roald Dahl, in this case, who is our narrator, he just wants to play a trick on the owner. Why? Because she seems that she's kind of salty. She's telling them, you're not buying anything, get out. As soon as we were outside, we broke into a run. Did you do it? They shouted at me. Of course I did, I cried. Well done, you, they cried. What a super show. So, again, boxing I, because that indicates that it's the author speaking about his or her life. And I would argue also that this is more of a memoir. Right? The reason I think it's more of a memoir is because, truthfully, he's not going into details about when he was born, why he was born, why he decided to put the mouse in the jar, although we can infer it just based off of Mrs. Pratchett's personality. But he's focusing on one moment in time, and that moment being when he replaced the lid, replaced the lollipop with the mouse. Time timer. Thank you. So my first evidence to prove that this is a memoir, I'm going to use the same example that I wrote down. Quote. Then I replaced the lid as silently as possible. The use of I is an example of him describing this one moment, right? He's doing it silently. Another example that would support my claim about this being a memoir, where it says as soon as we were outside, we broke into a run. He's obviously again describing this one moment of when they ended up playing this practical joke in this poor store owner, and the impact it had on them, not wanting to get caught, obviously. So, as soon as we were outside, we broke into a run. Julian, why is this a memoir, not an autobiography?
Because it's not getting to
Complete sentence, please.
It's a memoir, not an autobiography, because it's not getting into details about stuff.
About, what do you mean by other stuff?
About stuff.
About, yeah, so it's only focusing on one instance. Michael, why is this a memoir, not an autobiography?
Because it has I and mine and mine.
That's true, but you could also argue that autobiographies have I, my, me, mine. Why is it a memoir?
I think it doesn't have has a lot of details.
And it only focuses on what?
It only focuses on the memory, the main part. What was the result?
Beautiful. Can we give him 2 snaps on 2? 1, 2. Please go ahead and find your shoulder part in the next 10, 9, 8, 7,